Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Mass Effect 2 Codex Catch-Up Edition. We're not going to do any actual real gameplay in this video, guys. This is going to be our chance to go through the Codex, read all the entries, and get some lore under our belts. This is for the people who just really want to soak into the atmosphere and story of this game and just kind of learn everything we can about the universe that they built up. Maybe we'll get some answers to, some of the questions that I've been asking throughout the course of this Let's Play so far. So let's not waste any time. We're going to jump right in here and just start at the top and work our way down. Aliens, Council races. Asari.
The Asari were the first species to discover the Citadel. When the Solarians arrived, it was the Asari who proposed the establishment of the Citadel Council to maintain peace throughout the galaxy. Since then, the Asari have served as the mediators and centrists of the Council. An all-female race, the Asari reproduce through a form of parthenogenesis. They can attune their nervous system to that of another individual of any gender and of any species to reproduce. This capability has led to the unseemly and inaccurate rumors about Asari promiscuity. Asari can live for over 1,000 years, passing through 3 stages of life. In the maiden stage, they wander restlessly, seeking new knowledge and experience. When the matron stage begins, they meld with interesting partners to produce their offspring. This ends when they reach the matriarch stage, where they assume the roles of leaders and counselors.
Okay, so one thing I hadn't really considered before I started this is that some of this might be repetitive, stuff we've heard before from Mass Effect 1. These might even be like directly copied from entries in Mass Effect 1. I can't say that for sure. But, in any case, it'll be a good refresher for some of us. And I know for me, it's been a while since I went through the Codex in Mass Effect 1. So this will be really good for me. And if you don't want to watch, just go ahead and skip it.
The second species to join the Citadel, the Solarians, are warm-blooded amphibians with a hyperactive metabolism. Solarians think fast, talk fast, and move fast. To Solarians, other species seem sluggish and dull-witted. Unfortunately, their metabolic speed leaves them with a relatively short lifespan. Solarians over the age of 40 are a rarity. The Solarians were responsible for advancing the development of the primitive Krogan species to use as soldiers during the Rachni Wars. They were also behind the creation of the genophage bioweapon the Turians used to quell the Krogan rebellions several centuries later. Solarians are known for their observational capability and non-linear thinking. This manifests as an aptitude for research and espionage. They are constantly experimenting and inventing, and it is generally accepted that they always know more than they are letting on.
Sneaky, sneaky. It's kind of interesting how the Solarians are basically like God to the Krogans, right? Like they basically gave them birth and took them away from this world. Like, I mean, they didn't actually create the species, but they kind of made them what they are, It's just interesting.
Roughly 1,200 years ago, the Turians were invited to join the Citadel Council to fulfill the role of galactic peacekeepers. The Turians have the largest fleet in Citadel space, and they make up the single largest portion of the Council's military forces. As their territory and influence has spread, the Turians have come to rely on the Solarians for military intelligence and the Asari for diplomacy. Despite a somewhat colonial attitude towards the rest of the galaxy, the ruling hierarchy understands they would lose more than they would gain if the other 2 races were ever removed. Turians come from an autocratic society that values discipline and possesses a strong sense of personal and collective honor. There is lingering animosity between Turians and humans over the First Contact War of 2157, which is known as the Relay 314 incident to the Turians. Officially, however, the 2 species are allies, and they enjoy civil, if cool, diplomatic relations.
Okay, so if they ever talked about that incident being known as Relay 314, it just completely left my head. I don't think I ever really heard that. I think that might be new. So I'll try to remember that. The First Contact War between humans and Turians is sometimes known as Relay 314. Relay Pi.
50,000 years ago, the Protheans were the only spacefaring species in the galaxy. They vanished in a swift galactic extinction. Only the legacy of their empire remains. They are believed to have built the mass relays and the Citadel, which have allowed numerous species to explore and expand throughout the galaxy. Prothean ruins are found on worlds across the galaxy. While surprisingly intact for their age, Functioning examples of Prothean paleotechnology are rare. Time and generations of looters have picked their dead cities and derelict stations clean. Some believe the Protheans meddled in the evolution of younger races. The Hanar homeworld of Kaje, for example, shows clear evidence of former Prothean occupation. The presence of a former Prothean observation post on Mars has caused a rebirth of interventionary evolutionists among humans. These individuals believe the god myths of ancient civilizations are misremembered encounters with aliens.
But how could that be? Okay, I guess that ties into what people were telling me, in the sense that, like, clearly humans have been around for more than 50,000 years, like maybe not Homo sapiens, but, you know, the ancient biological ancestors of what would become humans. So, yeah, 50,000 years ago is when the Protheans were destroyed, but they could have been on Earth before that and encountered primitive humans and left their mark. So, yeah, it's still so weird to me that, like, these extinction events happen, but they only target, like, the spacefaring ones, because, like, they said so many times that they wipe out all organic life, and that's what's, like, stuck in my head. I've got to like, disabuse myself of that notion. Anyways, it's also interesting, by the way, that they mention how the Protheans are believed to have built the mass relays in the Citadel, but as Shepard, we know that that's not true, because the Reapers claim to have done it. And even if that's not true, we know that those things have been around for way longer than the Protheans were. A lot of previous highly advanced species have used them before the Protheans did, so I guess that just goes to show that these entries are not necessarily from Shepard's perspective. They're from, like, a universal perspective of, like, what people would actually read in this civilization. Anyway.
In the early 2160s, the Alliance began aggressive colonization of worlds in the Skyllian Verge, much to the dismay of the Batarians, who had been developing the region for several decades. In 2171, the Batarians petitioned the Council to declare the Verge a zone of Batarian interest. The Council refused, however, declaring unsettled worlds in the region open to human colonization. In protest, the Batarians closed their Citadel embassy and severed official diplomatic relations with the Council, effectively becoming a rogue state. They instigated a proxy war in the Verge by funneling money and weapons to criminal organizations, urging them to strike at human colonies. Hostilities peaked with the Skyllian Blitz of 2176, an attack on the human capital of Elysium by Batarian-funded pirates and slavers. In 2178, the Alliance retaliated with a crushing assault on the moon of Torfin, long used as a staging base by Batarian-backed criminals. In the aftermath, the Batarians retreated into their own systems and are now rarely seen in Citadel space.
Yeah, except for when they come out and try to crash a giant asteroid into your colonies. Mass Effect 1 DLC. I actually really enjoyed that. I hope we get to see these guys again, because they have an interesting story.
Living beyond the Omega-4 mass relay in the Terminus systems, the mysterious Collectors species is glimpsed so rarely as to be taken for a myth by most in galactic society. In reality, Collectors are human-sized insectoid bipeds and can resemble massive winged beetles. They are a terrifying force in the galaxy, responsible for the murder of hundreds of thousands. Collectors generate permanent stasis fields around themselves, creating nightmarish red-shifted energy fields. In battle, they hold position whenever possible, relying on their aggressive biotics and nearly limitless power. Several types of bipedal Collectors have been identified, including minions, defenders, zealots, assassins, and artillery operators. Acting together, Collectors have imprisoned entire cities in stasis. While no definite forensic accounting exists to explain the fate of those imprisoned, leading speculation is that victims are harvested for scientific experimentation and neurobiological repurposing.
Okay, so we learn a little bit more about the Collectors. That's good to know. Massive winged beetles. That actually sounds kind of terrifying. Sounds like these dudes are really bad news. And I'm sure we haven't seen the last of them in this game.
The Elcor are a Citadel species native to the high-gravity world Dakuna. They are massive creatures, standing on 4 muscular legs for increased stability. Elcor move slowly, an evolved response to an environment where a fall can be lethal. This has colored their psychology, making them deliberate and conservative.
That's interesting.
Elcor speech is ponderous and monotone. Among themselves, scent, slight movements, and subvocalized infrasound convey shades of meaning that make a human smile seem as subtle as a fireworks display. Since their subtlety can lead to misunderstandings with other species, the Elcor often go out of their way to clarify when they are being sarcastic, amused, or angry. Dacuna's high gravity impedes mountain formation. Most of the world consists of flat, open plains, which prehistoric Elcor wandered across in small family bands. Modern Elcor still prefer open sky and can become restless and uncomfortable on long starship journeys.
I don't think we've seen enough of these guys. I want to have more Elcor in this game.
The Geth are a humanoid race of networked AIs. They were created by the Quarians 300 years ago as tools of labor and war. When the Geth showed signs of self-evolution, the Quarians attempted to exterminate them. The Geth won the resulting war. This example has led to legal, systematic repression of artificial intelligences in galactic society. The Geth possess a unique distributed intelligence. An individual has rudimentary animal instincts, but as their numbers and proximity increase, the apparent intelligence of each individual improves. In groups, they can reason, analyze situations, and use tactics, as well as any organic race. Geth space is located at the trailing end of the Perseus Arm, beyond the lawless Terminus systems. The Perseus Veil, an obscuring dark nebula of opaque gas and dust, lies between their space and the Terminus systems.
Right, so that's a really important thing to know about the Geth, is that the more of them there are together, closely clustered up, the more dangerous they are because their networked AI just becomes smarter somehow. It's such a fascinating concept.
The Hanar are a citadel species known for excessive politeness. They speak with scrupulous precision and take offense at improper language. Hanar that expect to deal with other species take special courses to help them unlearn their tendency to take offense at improper speech. All Hanar have two names. The face name is known to the world. The soul name is kept for use among close friends and relations. Hanar never refer to themselves in the first person in conversation with someone they know on a face name basis. To do so is considered egotistical, so instead they refer to themselves as this one, or the impersonal it. Their homeworld, Kajay, has 90% ocean cover and orbits an energetic white star, resulting in a permanent blanket of cloud. Due to the presence of Prothean ruins on the world, many Hanar worship them, and Hanar myths often speak of an elder race that civilized them by teaching them language.
So I never really know where I stand with these guys because they're really hard to get a read on, but I will say that their homeworld sounds really beautiful and I would love to go visit it.
The Krogan evolved in a hostile and vicious environment. Until the invention of gunpowder weapons, eaten by predators was still the #1 cause of Krogan fatalities. Afterwards, it was death by gunshot. When the Solarians discovered them, the Krogan were a brutal, primitive species, struggling to survive a self-inflicted nuclear winter. The Solarians culturally uplifted them, teaching them to use and build modern technology so they could serve as soldiers in the Rachni War. Liberated from the harsh conditions of their homeworld, the quick-breeding Krogan experienced an unprecedented population explosion. They began to colonize nearby worlds. Even though these worlds were already inhabited, the Krogan rebellions lasted nearly a century, only ending when the Turians unleashed the Genophage, a Solarian-developed bioweapon that crushed all Krogan resistance. The Genophage makes only 1 in 1,000 pregnancies viable, and today the Krogan are a slowly dying breed.
I guess he's not going to read that last one. Understandably, the Krogan harbor a grudge against all other species, especially the Turians. So we know that a cure for the Genophage is possible because apparently Saren had one in the first game. Now we had to destroy it because the circumstances weren't right, but I would still very much like to cure the Genophage throughout the course of either this game or Mass Effect 3. I really hope we get the chance to do that.
Driven from their home system by the Geth nearly 3 centuries ago, most Quarians now live aboard the migrant fleet. a flotilla of 50,000 vessels ranging in size from passenger shuttles to mobile space stations. Home to 17 million Quarians, the flotilla understandably has scarce resources. Because of this, each Quarian must go on a rite of passage known as the pilgrimage when they come of age. They leave the fleet and only return once they have found something of value they can bring back to their people. Other species tend to look down on the Quarians for creating the Geth, and for the negative impact their fleet has when it enters a system. This has led to many myths and rumors about the Quarians, including the belief that underneath their clothes and breathing masks, they are actually cybernetic creatures, a combination of organic and synthetic parts.
Wouldn't that be a twist? If they were like, actually, guys, what if the Quarians were actually wiped out during the war with the Geth, and the Geth masquerade as Quarians? I don't know what benefit that would give them, but they could use that to like infiltrate other societies and things like that. They haven't really tried to do that, so I don't know. That probably doesn't make any sense. Also, I'm not sure if this has ever been addressed, but so once the Quarian leaves the fleet and completes its pilgrimage and then comes back to return the thing they found to the fleet, what do they typically do then? Do they hang out like with the fleet for the rest of their lives, or do they go do something else? Does it vary from Quarian to Quarian? I take it that Tali went back because we gave her that Geth data and that was the fulfillment of her pilgrimage, but now she's out there doing other things too. She's not with the fleet anymore. So I guess she decided not to stick around with them in any case.
A myth common to several cultures in the galaxy. Reapers were imagined to be space monsters who consumed entire stars. Archaeologists and mythologists attempting to uncover sources for such myths have yielded little, except interstellar religious themes of all-consuming devils common to primitive cultures.
All-consuming devils. Yeah, that sounds about right.
The Volus are a member species of the Citadel with their own embassy, but they are also a client race of the Turians. Centuries ago, they were voluntarily absorbed into the hierarchy, effectively trading their mercantile prowess for Turian military protection. Erun, their homeworld, lies far beyond the normal life zone of its star. However, the world has a high-pressure greenhouse atmosphere that traps enough heat to support an ammonia-based biochemistry. As a result, the Volus must wear pressure suits and breathers when dealing with other species, as conventional nitrogen-oxygen air mixtures are poisonous to them, and in the low-pressure atmospheres tolerable to most species, their flesh will actually split open.
Ugh.
Volus culture is tribal, bartering lands and even people to gain status. This culture of exchange inclines them to economic pursuits. It was the Volus who authored the Unified Banking Act, and they continue to monitor and balance the Citadel economy.
Okay, so there's the breakdown on the Danny DeVito species. So that's it for alien non-council races. I'm just curious, how many headers do we have here? Okay, we got about, what, 8 or 9 left? Got it. Citadel and Galactic Government.
The Citadel is an ancient deep space station, presumably constructed by the Protheans. Since the Prothean extinction, numerous species have come to call the Citadel home. It serves as the political, cultural, and financial capital of the galactic community. To represent their interests, most species maintain embassies on the Presidium, the Citadel's inner ring. The Citadel Tower in the center of the Presidium holds the Citadel Council chambers. Council affairs often have far-reaching effects on the rest of the galactic community. 5 arms, known as the Wards, extend from the Presidium. Their inner surfaces have been built into cities, populated by millions of inhabitants from across the galaxy. The Citadel is virtually indestructible. If attacked, the station can close its arms to form a solid, impregnable shell. For as long as the station has existed, an enigmatic race called the Keepers has maintained it.
Yeah, it's virtually indestructible unless you open up a backdoor mass relay into it and crash a freaking Mako right through it. But, you know, I think we've only seen like a really small portion of the Citadel. I hope we get to see a lot more of it in this game.
Spectres are agents from the Office of Special Tactics and Reconnaissance, and answer only to the Citadel Council. They are elite military operatives, granted the authority to deal with threats to peace and stability in whatever way they deem necessary. They operate independently or in groups of 2 or 3. Some are empathetic peacekeepers, resolving disputes through diplomacy. Others are cold-blooded assassins, ruthlessly dispatching problem individuals. All get the job done one way or another, often operating outside the bounds of galactic law. The Spectres were founded after the Solarians joined the Council. For many years they operated in secrecy as backroom problem solvers. Only after the Krogan rebellions did their activities become publicized. Assignment of a Spectre is less contentious than a military deployment, but makes it clear that the Council is concerned about a situation.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys have heard this, but I'm still a Spectre. And I feel like that hasn't really been explored very much in this game. I'm actually not sure if the Council still considers me one or not. I haven't even really met the new Council, so I don't know what their deal is. But we should all just be aware that I'm still a Spectre.
A political economic pact for collective colonial security, the Alliance is the central galactic institution of human society. The Alliance gained associate membership to the Citadel Council in 2165 and assumed leadership in 2183, with former Alliance Captain David Anderson presiding. Many species regard humanity as a rogue race, and its 2183 victory following the attack on Eden Prime as a brutal and calculated sacrifice of its military rivals. Humans allegedly leveraged military victory into a political one, carving associate membership out of the violently depopulated Council. Because of the human Spectre Shepard's pivotal role in saving the Council, many analysts conclude several humans will be made candidates for Spectre status, further solidifying the human contribution to galactic peace. By achieving in decades what others waited centuries to receive, especially after so bloody a conflict, humans have guaranteed themselves deep hostility and fear throughout the galaxy.
Yeah, well, we got results, so y'all can go fuck yourselves. Also, I guess that entry would be really different if you made some different choices at the end of Mass Effect 1. So that's interesting to think about.
Immediately following the First Contact War, an anonymous extranet manifesto warned that an alien attempt at human genocide was inevitable. The manifesto called for an army, a Cerberus, to guard against invasion through the Charon Relay. Derided as survivalist rhetoric written by an elusive man, the manifesto and its anonymous author soon fell off the media radar. But in 2165, terrorists stole antimatter from the SSV Geneva. The sole figure arrested named his sponsor Cerberus. Throughout the 2160s and 2170s, alleged Cerberus agents assassinated politicians, sabotaged starships bearing Ezo, and conducted nightmarish experiments on aliens and humans. Denounced as human supremacist, Cerberus calls itself human survivalist. Counter-terror experts speculate Cerberus may have changed leadership with its recent shift to stockpiling ships, agents, and weapons. Whether he, she, or they, the elusive man hides his finances hidden behind shell companies. Few doubt he will kill anyone attempting to expose him.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So this is making it sound like the entire point of Cerberus is to guard against the threat of the Reapers? Like somehow they knew about it before everyone else did? I don't know, still not a lot to go on, but that is interesting if that's true.
The reclusive tycoon calling himself the elusive man is a human nationalist focused on advancing human interests, whatever the cost to non-humans. The Citadel Council regards him as a fanatic, posing a serious threat to galactic security. A mysterious maverick, to say the least, the elusive man heads the Cerberus network. Dubbed the Elusive Empire by investigators, Cerberus is an allegedly untraceable syndicate of private intelligence agencies, biotics laboratories, engineering and scientific research teams, and lucrative front companies. Branded a terrorist and seditionist organization by authorities, Cerberus is the only human power base other than the Terra Firma Party, strong enough to embarrass, if not threaten, the Council and its human representatives.
Wait, what's the Terra Firma Party? I don't know. Okay. But we are branded a terrorist and seditionist organization by authorities, so, I mean, that was obvious, but, yeah. I made a comment earlier about how, like, hey, we kind of operate like a terrorist cell, don't we? And I guess I was pretty on the nose with that. Planets and locations.
Freedom's Progress colony was once a typical Alliance settlement, but following complete communications blackout and its apparent destruction, is now a lightning rod for anxiety and dread in the galactic human community. The communications blackout followed an upgrade of the colony's small military force, supplemented by mechs and security drones, with high-powered tower-mounted Guardian lasers. Colonists complained about construction cost overruns, delays, noise, and damage to the local environment. They also feared the defense array could be seen as provocative to their world's neighbors. Such fears may not have been baseless. Authorities have still offered no explanation for the communications blackout, fueling rumors of plagues, natural disasters, or a cult-inspired mass suicide. Located in strategically insignificant space, Freedom's Progress colony had once offered residents spectacular rainbows, lush marshlands, and stunning mountain ranges. Its potential as an agricultural settlement and tourism wonderland rivaled that of any Alliance colony.
Well, that's just us in the wind now.
The Systems Alliance space vehicle Normandy is a prototype starship created as a joint human and Turian venture. A frigate optimized for reconnaissance missions, the vessel uses state-of-the-art stealth technology. Most ships generate tremendous heat that is easily detectable against the absolute zero background of space. The Normandy, however, temporarily sinks this heat within its hull. Because of exterior hull refrigeration, the ship can travel undetected for hours, or drift passively for days of covert observation. That heat sinking carries the risk of cooking the crew alive if the stored heat is not eventually radiated. Also contributing to stealth is the Normandy's revolutionary Tantalus drive, a Mass Effect core double the standard size. The Tantalus generates mass concentrations that the Normandy falls into, allowing it to move without the use of heat-emitting thrusters.
See, that's really interesting because anytime you're in orbit, that's like actually what you're doing, right? You're just falling, like continuously, forever. You're not actually like floating in space or being slung around by gravity. You're just, I mean, I guess you technically are, but yeah, that's the way they describe it, is that like you're literally just falling, but in a weird way. Falling with style, I guess.
With elaborate secrecy, Cerberus labored for years to build a new, superior Normandy. The vehicle's many alterations produced a craft nearly double the original size, requiring an even larger Tantalus drive core to compensate. The new Normandy features greater space in living quarters, research laboratory, observation deck, and cargo bay. Its shuttle can make landings the Normandy cannot attempt. In addition to tight beam communicators, Normandy's Quantum Entanglement Communicator, QEC, provides instantaneous contact with the elusive man. The Enhanced Defense Intelligence AI coordinates many of the ship's combat functions, assisting and even supplanting human piloting. Potential upgrades are numerous. The airframe could support additional armor and an axial mass accelerator. The thrusters could support recent advances in fuel technology beyond H2O2 chemical rockets. And the hull can mount double the standard number of kinetic barrier projectors, leaving space for stronger shields, easily sustainable via the new EZO drive core.
Thank you, Cerberus. You know, guys, they keep talking about all these upgrades we can get for the Normandy, but I don't really know, like, how that's going to factor in. Like, are we going to have actual ship combat in this game? Because otherwise, I don't know how that would present itself in the game, so that must be a thing, right?
The Systems Alliance UT-47 drop shuttle landing craft holds 12 soldiers in a cramped, uncomfortable cargo bay and 2 more in the cockpit. Officially named the Kodiak, the drop shuttle is better known to Alliance Marines as the Combat Cockroach due to its appearance and durability. The vehicle's robust environmental sealant technology exposes few vulnerable parts to the elements. First tested in the sulfuric acid clouds and extreme temperatures of Venus, the Kodiak can land in hard vacuum, high pressure, and temperatures from near absolute zero to over 900 degrees Celsius. A true contragravitic vehicle, the Kodiak's substantial Element Zero core allows flight by entirely countering the vehicle's mass, Its small thrusters are for directional control only. So if the mass effect field fails, the vehicle becomes a proverbial 3 million credit coffin. The unarmed shuttle forgoes weaponry space for active masking, electronic countermeasures, and a robust kinetic barrier system, ideal for dropping troops undetected.
That is interesting. So that's a word I never heard before, contragravitic. If I understand it correctly, it just means that it's literally, oh man, I don't even know how to define it. Well, they say that, like, if the mass effect field fails, the vehicle becomes a proverbial 3 million credit coffin, meaning that the mass effect field is the only thing providing this thing with any kind of movement or thrust capability. I guess the mass effect field literally counteracts gravity to the point where it becomes, like, weightless, so that it can just kind of move in any direction with the thrust capability, but without that mass effect field, the thrusters don't do anything. So if anybody ever wanted to disable the drop shuttle, all they would have to do is fuck with the mass effect field, and that would be very problematic for us.
Biotics is the ability of rare individuals to manipulate dark energy and create mass effect fields through the use of electrical impulses from the brain. Intense training and surgically implanted amplifiers are necessary for a biotic to produce mass effect fields powerful enough for practical use. The relative strength of biotic abilities varies greatly among species and with each individual. There are 3 branches of biotics. Telekinesis uses mass-lowering fields to levitate or impel objects. Mass-raising kinetic fields are used to block or pin objects. Spatial distortion uses rapidly shifting mass fields to shred objects.
Cool.
Most organic species are capable of developing biotic abilities, though there are risks involved. Biotics are the result of an in utero exposure to element 0. This usually causes fatal cancers in the victim, but in rare cases, it coalesces into nodules within the fetus's developing nervous system.
So what do you guys think? Would you want to take that risk? If you're in your mother's womb and you get exposed to element 0, I don't know what the odds are. They might have went over that in Mass Effect 1, but, like, I guess you have a pretty good chance of developing cancer and dying before you really get to live life. But if you survive, you basically get to be an X-Man. So, I don't know. Worth the risk? What do you think?
When subjected to an electrical current, the rare material dubbed Element 0, or EZO, emits a dark energy field that raises or lowers the mass of all objects within it. This mass effect is used in countless ways, from generating artificial gravity to manufacturing high-strength construction materials. It is most prominently used to enable faster-than-light space travel. EZO is generated when solid matter, such as a planet, is affected by the energy of a star going supernova. The material is common in the asteroid debris that orbits neutron stars and pulsars. These are dangerous places to mine, requiring extensive use of robotics, telepresence, and shielding to survive the incredible radiation from the dead star. Only a few major corporations can afford the setup costs required to work these primary sources. Humanity discovered refined Element 0 at the Prothean Research Station on Mars, allowing them to create mass effect fields and develop FTL travel.
I still think it's impressive that we were able to do that so quickly, though. I mean, we only discovered the element. We didn't discover, like, the mechanisms themselves, right? Humans rule, man.
Element 0 can increase or decrease the mass of a volume of space-time when subjected to an electrical current. With a positive current, mass is increased. With a negative current, mass is decreased. The stronger the current, the greater the magnitude of the dark energy mass effect. In space, low-mass fields allow FTL travel and inexpensive surface-to-orbit transit. High-mass fields create artificial gravity and push space debris away from vessels. In manufacturing, low-mass fields permit the creation of evenly blended alloys, while high-mass compaction creates dense, sturdy construction materials. The military makes extensive use of mobility-enhancing technologies, with Mass Effect utilizing fighting vehicles standard frontline issue in most military forces. Mass Effect fields are also essential in the creation of kinetic barriers or shields to protect against enemy fire.
Man, the Mako would have been way more bearable if it had been able to use Mass Effect technology. We'll drive that thing at light speed.
Mass relays are feats of Prothean engineering advanced far beyond the technology of any living species. They are enormous structures scattered throughout the stars and can create corridors of virtually mass-free space, allowing instantaneous transit between locations separated by years or even centuries of travel using conventional FTL drives. Primary mass relays can propel ships thousands of light years, often from one spiral arm of the galaxy to another. However, they have fixed one-to-one connections. A primary relay connects to one other primary relay and nowhere else. Secondary relays can only propel ships across a few hundred light years. However, they are omnidirectional. A secondary relay can send a ship to any other relay within its limited range. There are many dormant primary relays whose corresponding twins have not yet been located. These are left inactive until their partner is charted, as established civilizations are unwilling to blindly open a passage that might connect them to a hostile species.
Yep, I remember that. That's still really cool. One thing I've either forgotten or I just don't get, I don't understand how these enable faster than light travel. I understand why they would enable light speed travel, because using the mass effect fields, you literally take your mass down to 0. But photons have a mass of 0, and that's why the speed of light has always kind of been considered like the universal speed limit, right? Because the thing that limits your ability to move as fast as the universe will allow you is your mass. If you have mass, you have resistance. But a photon has no mass, and therefore it just moves automatically the fastest that a thing within the walls of our universe can move. So, how do we get faster than that just by taking our mass down to 0? Do we go into negative mass, and that lets us go faster than 0 mass? Is that the whole explanation? Because I don't think that really makes sense, but also it's sci-fi, so I probably shouldn't think about it too hard.
Omni-tools are handheld devices that combine a computer microframe, sensor analysis pack, and manufacturing fabricator. Versatile and reliable, an Omni-tool can be used to analyze and adjust the functionality of most standard equipment, including weapons and armor, from a distance. The fabrication module can rapidly assemble small three-dimensional objects from common reusable industrial plastics, ceramics, and light alloys. This allows for field repairs and modifications to most standard items, as well as the reuse of salvaged equipment. Omni-tools are standard issue for soldiers and first-in colonists.
Very cool, very cool.
Medigel is a common medicinal salve used by paramedics, EMTs, and military personnel. It combines several useful applications: a local anesthetic, disinfectant, and clotting agent all in one. Once applied, the gel is designed to grip tight to flesh until subjected to a frequency of ultrasound. It is sealable against liquids, most notably blood, as well as contaminants and gases. The gel is a genetically engineered bioplasm created by the CERTA Foundation, a medical technology megacorp based on Earth. Technically, Medigel violates Council laws against genetic engineering, but to date, it has proved far too useful to ban.
I like that. I was kind of hoping there'd be an entry in here for the new type of ammo that we use in this game, the actual ammunition that we have to like swap out instead of the heat sink that we were using in the first game. I guess the explanation for that is that they realized that using standard ammo is actually faster than waiting for the clip to cool down, which sounds like bullshit to me, because why were the thermal clips invented in the first place then? Why'd they replace standard traditional ammunition? And also, even if that were true, you would only need to carry 2 thermal clips with you, because then you could just swap those out, and you wouldn't have to wait for it to cool down while you're using your other one, or at least like while you're using the other one, the original one would have time to cool down, then you could just keep swapping back and forth between them, or maybe you swap out between 3 of them if you really need that much time. But the point is, you would only need 2 or 3 of them. I don't know. The whole thing just seems like garbage to me, but you know, it is what it is. They had to come up with some kind of reason to actually, like, have this gameplay more like a shooter, right? Anyway, so that's it for the primary entries. Here are the secondary ones, and it looks like there's actually a fair amount of them. I don't think they read these out loud. Yeah, they don't. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do, guys. I'm gonna take a break right here. I'm gonna have to read all these out loud to myself and to you. So I'm gonna make a second video for these, and once we get through all this, then we will be good to go on getting back to the main game. This took a little bit longer than I thought. I wasn't sure how many entries were in here. I was hoping we'd be able to knock this out in just like one video, but I think it's going to be better to break it up. So yeah, that's the plan. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next episode of Mass Effect 2. Y'all take care.